Hey, man, just want to wish everybody a happy Father's Day today for all the fathers out there today, including myself. Hopefully, y'all are sitting back asking somebody to grab you a drink, beer, or a sandwich. All right? So, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out
A sandwich.
there. Oh, man. Well, folks, another wonderful week of sports. We're going down to the bitter end of the NBA Finals. Then we have a couple other stories we're going to cover today, so we're going to jump right in. Before I do, though, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. We appreciate it. Hit the like button on the video. And B, man, how you doing? I heard you was
I'm good, man.
sunburnt. You got burnt today.
I'm a little sunburnt. We took our dad surf fishing today out on the coast. So here on the West Coast, it is striped bass season. So we thought we would give our chance to that, and well, we caught a sunburn, caught a few seaweeds, and didn't catch what we were supposed to catch, and that was fish, to say the least here. But we had a good time with our dad. It's nice to get out on the water with that there. But how was your Father's Day so far?
Oh, it's been good, man. We had a big breakfast this morning, so still kind of full from that, to be honest with you. Yesterday, just kind of hung out with the family. So yeah, it's been cool, man. Just relaxing, just chilling for the most part, at least trying to.
I hear you.
Got some family coming over, or family here actually. So just celebrating, sitting back, eating food. The normal stuff family does.
Exactly. We're about to go to Chinese food after this, so we're looking forward to that, man. I love me some good Chinese food.
There you go, man. Hey, nothing like nothing like backing up a day of fishing and not catching a single fish with a meal cooked by somebody else.
Exactly. Eating cat and dog. Love it.
Folks, he meant catfish. He meant catfish.
It was a joke. People, relax.
Oh man. Well, I talked about it earlier. Let's jump right into it. NBA Finals coming down the wire. Mavs finally got a win, to avoid being swept, really, is what it came down to. So this was one of those pride victories, we'll call it, where they had to get something done just to stay alive. Man, we were talking about this on the phone. I mean, is it just me, or have the finals for the past few years been pretty trash? I mean, leading up to this, there was so much hoopla about the West and how competitive it was with all the new players in the league, and the Western Conference playoffs were pretty interesting. But it hasn't been very interesting as far as the finals have gone. Teams have not been shooting very well. A few superstars have not been playing that great. Namely guys like, Kyrie, even Tatum to some extent hasn't really played that, exceptional, we'll call it. And man, remember the game we watched live, man? We literally watched these guys go back and forth and clank threes for about 3 minutes until one team decided to hit a few. And that's really what changed the tide of the game. So, wasn't the greatest watch, I got to be honest with you.
Dude, this hasn't been the most entertaining finals at all. There's been no star power.
Yeah.
There's been no takeover by the guys who should be taking over, and those are Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic.
Right.
Your superstar players, the guys who are made for this moment here, the guys who are supposed to help start cementing their legacy on a stage like this. And they're not. They really aren't. We are getting bench production out the wazoo from these guys here. And so,
Yeah.
In games 3 and 4, now in game 3, Dallas had a big lead.
Yeah, they did.
And proceeded to blow it. Or no, it was the Celtics. The Celtics had the big lead.
They gave it back in game 2.
And then damn near gave it back.
Game 3,
But Dallas was up in that game. And then obviously Dallas comes in playing for their lives here, completely blows the brakes off of Boston in game 4. But you expect that because it's, you're playing for your life, but you should be doing that from game 1. Like, you have to, that's the mentality you have to have going in game 1. Honestly, I don't think even Boston has been playing. They played their best basketball all year, to be honest with you. This isn't their best basketball. I think the defense has really still been there for them. But on the offensive end, man, it's just ever since we went live on game 2 to game 4, they have not changed their offense. And that is isolation, one-on-one, no movement. Let
Yep.
my let our superstars supposed to do their thing instead of making the easy plays here. They're looking for the hardest way out. Dude, there's just so many threes just getting just getting
Clanks,
bricked
dude.
left and right.
Yeah, it's
You
just
know,
Clank
it,
City.
it's bad.
And the other thing is, you mentioned it about the offense, and this is really what Boston has done a majority of the year. But the saving grace has been they have very smart veteran players that kind of make up for a lot of that one-on-one ball that sometimes does not work. And they're definitely capable of destroying any team. But I'll be honest, it's not very fun to watch. That's why the last game looked so bad, was because they literally only played one-on-one basketball, but none of those one-on-one matchups equal points, and that's why they
Yeah,
lost. Because Dallas, really all Dallas did this time around was they took the old idea of keep the guy in front of you, and that's all they did. They just kept the guy in front of them. See if they can make a play. If they do, great. If they don't, we get the ball back, and that's exactly what happened. Luka Doncic, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, played much better defensively, and that doesn't mean he did anything special. He just wasn't lazy and didn't try to get steals because it's not really his job. It's not what they're relying on Doncic to do. He needs to score, and so yeah, that's why it's been a snooze fest in my opinion. Is because you're just watching guys take turns, and because you're kind of seeing that on both ends in some cases. Although I will say Doncic has been more of an assist guy, can be more of an assist guy, easily can put up a triple double. But when you're talking about Kyrie, Brown, and Tatum, yeah, man, I mean, those guys are black holes. Once the ball touches their hand, that's pretty much it. They're putting up a shot, and there isn't a lot of motion going on offensively, or at least there wasn't this last game for the Celtics. So I look for them to change that on Monday, though.
yeah, and when it comes to being a black hole on the court, there's nothing wrong with that. There, it's your production being to that. There's
Yeah,
not a whole lot of production when these one-on-ones take place here. That's why it's like, look, if it's not working, either
yeah,
one, as we said, get to your mid-range. That's a guaranteed bucket by almost every NBA player, or get other people involved. Get those assists up here.
yeah,
Both Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are averaging 20 points a game, but honestly, it's taking Jason Tatum damn near 4 quarters to get to that average there. He's gotten way too many slow starts the first 4 games of the series here, and especially after the blowout, you're not going to expect much coming from him there as well.
yeah.
Let me ask you this: if you had to pick a Finals MVP right now, who would it be
I mean,
on Boston?
I
Who are
mean,
you giving that to?
if it's Boston, I think you have to look at Jaylen Brown. I think both those players have been pretty consistent throughout. They're both playing the same amount of minutes. I'm trying to look at the stats here. Tatum's averaged a couple more assists, it feels like, but I mean, these guys are really kind of neck and neck. The only difference is Jaylen Brown is playing better. He's shooting a little better from the field. Neither one of these guys are shooting great from three. I mean, dude, these stats are Jaylen
God,
Brown shooting 24% from the 3-point line. Tatum is shooting 29. The saving grace is Jaylen Brown's done a lot more work in the interior, so he's shooting 49%
yeah.
from the field. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough toss up, man. If I had to look at it overall, I'm giving it to Luka Doncic. I mean, 29 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. I mean, he's playing like a superstar player. It's just
Yeah, when he's on the court.
when he's on the court. But yeah, if it's for Boston, it's kind of hard to pick out which one of these guys to hand it to. Between the two of those guys, unless they try to go the dark horse, which is the dark horse you took. Remember, at the beginning of the series, you picked Drew Holiday, I
Drew
think,
Holiday.
to win
Yeah.
the MVP. So hey, you never know. I don't think that'll happen, but he is averaging 14 points a game. He's been playing extremely well. So it's you can't take it away from it all. And I believe he's the second leading rebounder on the floor. But if it's a toss up, man. It's a complete toss up. I have no idea who they're going to give it to if,
Well, when you
if the Celtics win the
when you
championship.
when you look at it from a minute standpoint here, right?
Yeah,
Drew Holiday has played just as many minutes as Jaylen Brown has. He's over 50% from the field. He's over 40%
yeah,
from
he
the three
is.
point.
Yes, yeah,
He's averaging more rebounds, outside of on the offensive end. And on the defensive end, he's, at 4 with Jason Tatum at 7. But look, that's your bench player. That's
Yeah.
a guy who's not supposed to. Those stats are not supposed to be his. Those stats are supposed to be from your star player to say. So honestly, I think if I was that, I think Drew Holiday is taking home this MVP. Just for the fact of the matter is he has been playing some good defense as well, but he's been kind of a consistent scorer for them. You know what you're getting. I don't think the 14 points does any justification for what he's meant to Boston on the court because during that game three, I think he was more the vocal point than the other starters were during that run there for Boston. So I still give it to Drew Holiday here.
Yeah.
I hope he does. I hope he still wins it.
Well, yeah, and he's a dark horse, and depends on what this last game looks like. I mean, the only way I think Tatum gets it is if he just blows off for 50, 60 points in the last game. But like I said, it's really going to be a toss up. But I think Jaylen Brown might be the guy that might be in the lead. But we'll see how it all plays out. But curiously, go ahead.
Did you see what Tim Hardaway Jr. did in Game 4?
No, I didn't.
He went off. He had 15 points.
Listen to So I watched
6 minutes.
I watched a little. I didn't watch all of Game 4 because that game was over pretty early, and they beat the brakes off of him. It's good to see him getting some run because we talked about it before. He got some run in the previous game, but really didn't do anything. He didn't have a lot of impact at all. So it's good to see that they're trying to work him into the rotation because him and Dante Exum, like, if you can get either of these guys, you need guys to contribute points. And Kyrie hasn't been as consistent. Luka is carrying the load at almost 30 points a game. So you got to find other places to make up for that, to get that offense. And a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr. is a guy that you could just throw in for, like you said, 5-6 minutes. Can he make shots? Can he help? And if he doesn't, then you pull him. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But if he gets hot and he knocks down a couple of threes or gets to the rim or gets an end, whatever. If he can put any points up in a hurry, for you, those are points and minutes you don't have to throw at Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving. So.
Well, it's a very low risk, high reward when it comes to Tim Hardaway Jr. Because if he goes off, you get that bonus. You get that extra from him, But if he doesn't, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Right, exactly.
You don't know until you put him into the game. And the problem with Jason Kidd is he's not putting him into the game. And on the Dallas side of things, I honestly don't think Jason Kidd has handled this team well in the finals. When Dallas was making their comeback, almost stole Game 3. What surprised me was it was 93-90 Boston with about 4 minutes left, right?
Yeah.
But Dallas gets a stop. Luka gets the defensive rebound, but Jason Kidd calls a timeout. In the midst of almost a 20-2 run, he calls a timeout. And I'm confused by this because you don't want to stop the rhythm.
Yeah.
Boston needs to stop it. That's not your job. You got to keep up the pace. Boston was struggling hitting buckets, man. You want to talk about a clink fest? I heard they just built a second TD Garden with all the shots that Boston was missing in Game 3 there with that there. Yeah. So why are you stopping your team's momentum for it? You can't have that kind of happen. Those are the kind of mistakes that I think eventually may have cost Dallas a potential 2-2 series going back to Boston, because they had the Celtics fearing for their lives in Game 3, going, are we gonna pull this out? Because Boston has these kind of games, and Dallas almost took advantage of it. They stopped their momentum, which is a killer. There's no need for you to do that. Let Boston slow the pace down, not you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll give Kidd the benefit of the doubt. I mean, he's been a coach for a while. I mean, there are going to be those moments where coaches do things you're kind of like, what the heck's going on? But I guess this is also the same guy who asked one of his teammates to bump into him and knock a drink over so they could get a timeout. So, Kidd knows no bounds. He knows no bounds. But I think overall, it's just been a lackluster performance from the Mavericks bench. And I think that's what's been the biggest difference is the Celtics bench players have been able to step up and make plays. Porzingis and Drew Holiday, especially in those first 2 games. And then in Game 3, and we can actually get into this, what we saw was more or less a team that was not prepared, or maybe lack of a better expression, immature in a circumstance where they had an opportunity to come back and win the game. And maybe, like you said, that has something to do with the coaching experience too, where the timeouts called, but then also with the players. And that rolls into our next subject, where Luka he's a young guy, and sometimes we forget that. He's been in the league for, I think, almost 7 years now.
7 years,
Yeah,
and there's
and
one thing
he's
that Luca has always done. He's been a freaking crybaby, big
yeah,
ass crybaby, man.
yeah, and one of the things that really, at the press conference, he talked a little bit about the refs after that game 3, I believe, and the sentiment is just that the refs it's something else that's happening that's outside of their control. But what it really came down to, I think, overall, was the fact that they just played crap defense, and especially Luka himself, and that's what kind of got them steamrolled. And you mentioned that the who was it? Brian Windhorst
Yeah,
uh, commented on his whole persona, and how he had seen him do the same thing in an international game, where he really just let his emotions get the best of him, started blaming the referees, and took his mind off of the game. And I think and off his team. And I think that's kind of what we saw in game 3. And he made that comparison to a T, to where he basically pointing out the fact that he needs to take that next step to be a leader of a team, which means you can't be selfish. You can't be, oh, what's about the refs? Nobody wants to hear that from their superstar player.
yeah, nobody does here. And this is where you are the owner of every failure, of every success from a team here. When you watch superstar players in an NBA Finals, the first thing they're gonna do anytime something goes bad is they'll take the responsibility for that. Whether it's not having the guys ready, whether they're not ready, whatever the case may be, they're not pointing the finger at anyone but themselves,
Right.
taking the blame for that, to get going. Luka's not doing that.
Yeah.
He's blaming the refs. He's blaming whatever the case may be about anyone but him. That's not the problem. Luka's the problem.
Yeah.
His defense is, for better
It
or
was
worse,
bad, man. It was bad.
it's he's right up there with James Harden right now when it comes to defense. And that's not what you want to be compared to, with that there.
Yeah.
So is this a growing point? It is. It could be a growing point. It's like, this is something that he's got to work through. But in all honesty here, the guy's been in the league for almost 10 years now. That ownership, that responsibility has to be there. And this is the moment that you have to do it in. When he yelled at the bench, and you know how much I hate this, to challenge a call that he knew he wasn't going to win, and Dallas went ahead and did it, and guess what happened? It never was overturned. It was still the right call.
Yeah.
You're yelling at the bench for what? For your sloppy play? You should be upset at yourself for the way you're carrying yourself on the defensive end and on the offensive end as well, because he has been taking some terrible shots, in one-on-one matchups here. A lot of step back fadeaways, a lot of 1 foot jumpers here, and I'm like, dude, this ain't working for you, man. Like, get the ball movement. That's what you guys need to do.
I think the thing is, it's that tough realization of what we all know, but it's so difficult to execute. Which is, if you play well on defense, it'll help your offense. You know what I mean? And so that's what they did in the last game. Luka doesn't need. We're not expecting Luka to make steals or do anything special defensively. Just stay in front of your guy. And the Celtics made it a point to single him out and single coverage. That was their goal. It was to get Luka on the island and punish him. And this last game, he did a better job than he did the previous game of actually committing to the defensive end of the ball. So hopefully he continues to do that. He's going to have to, man, because, again, they're playing against a team that's loaded. There's a slim margin for error. I mean, you got Brown, Tatum, Kobe White, Drew Holiday. I mean, a lot of these, Al Horford, a lot of these guys, even Porzingis, who we don't even know. Just like Porzingis to come in, show you that he could play for like 20 minutes or a game and a half and then disappear. Oh, man. I mean, that's the story of that guy's entire career. But we don't know if he'll come back the remainder of the series. I haven't seen anything about it. But maybe you get Porzingis back on Monday and you get a shot in the arm that Celtics need. Or maybe he's out and Dallas can say, you know what, let's attack the boards, let's play defense and run. And I think that's what they need to do. They need to play at a quicker pace. Celtics like to play at a fast pace sometimes, but generally what they're playing for is 3-point shots, and they get caught up in a lot of one-on-one basketball. So when those one-on-one shots don't go in, they kind of get stuck, and that's what happened to them in Game 3. And it's something Dallas has to take advantage of, man. These guys, Kyrie and the guys coming up off the bench that you're hoping will do something for you. Gafford had a great game last game. You're going to need him. You're going to need Lively. You're going to need Tim Hardaway Jr. to give you 10 minutes and knock down a couple of threes or at least knock down a few jumpers for you because that offense stagnates whenever it's just Luka. Luka trying to do it all himself is not going to work for them. It has to be a team effort. Other guys got to make some type of play or at least knock down an open shot whenever you get a chance.
And when Luka fouled out in Game 3, that was Kyrie's perfect time to step up. That leadership, that experience from being in all those NBA final matchups with the Cleveland Cavaliers wasn't found here. That dude, and you bring up a good point here. They need to get Gafford and Lively in a lot of pick and rolls.
Oh yeah.
There's not one Celtic player that is matching that here. And every time Dallas has made a run, they go right to the big man here. So you know what they should do to start Game 5? Get those two involved and get them involved early.
Yeah.
Just get them going here.
We finally saw lobs in the last game. Like we hadn't seen very many alley-oop lobs through the first few games. And that was a big component of how they beat Minnesota. And Minnesota had the Eiffel Tower. So, obviously the Celtics don't have a guy that has that much size and athleticism on their team. So they got to figure out a way to get that going and be trusting those big guys, throw the ball up and let them go get it. So I think you're absolutely right, man. If they could take the lid off with alley oops, that opens up their offense in a whole another way. They'll create a lot more open space for guys like Kyrie and Luka to go off, for sure.
And I know it's not pretty, but just start the game like that. Get the early buckets going early, so your offensive players can then get into rhythm as well here. But what do we know? Both of us are just sitting on the TV.
We're just some people
basketball
who've been but we've been watching basketball for a while. We know how it works, and we understand that at the end of the day, no matter how great one player is, you got to figure out to get the other team involved. Once you get everybody clicking, that's when we're talking. And that's why this finals has been disappointing, because it doesn't seem like either team is really clicking per se. Now, the Celtics have so much talent that their depth has saved their butt time and time again.
Yes.
So, you got to give kudos to guys like Drew Holiday for stepping up and making stuff happen, especially in, I believe it was Game 2. So, kudos to the Celtics. The problem with Dallas is they haven't found that third man to come in and or collectively with their bench, come in and give them some type of production. So we'll see how that shakes out.
So do you think Dallas extends it to Game 6 after tomorrow, or we talking about the Celtics having an 18 banner?
I mean, I don't want to see the Celtics win another championship. I picked Dallas to win. I'm going to ride that boat and say that Dallas will find a way in a close game to get back to Dallas for an opportunity to play in a Game 7. However, I gotta preface it by saying it's a slim chance. There's a chance the Celtics go out there and have the best game they've had all series, and this thing is over in the first 2 quarters. But we will see. Everything's on the line. They're back in Boston, but Boston has also given up some games on the road. We have to remember that the Celtics have not won a championship. This particular group of Celtics, this is their first opportunity to win a championship, where they have the opportunity to actually close out. They did get that opportunity against the Warriors a couple of years ago. So we'll see if they learn from those mistakes and can go in and get it done when they need to get it done. Because I guarantee you can't lose tomorrow's game. You can't. If they lose tomorrow's game, they go back to Dallas, it's probably going 7. And then the intensity picks up, right? Because then it's like first team ever 3-0 to make it to 7
The
games
talk,
or win
yeah,
when
the
so
talk
then
starts
the
happening.
talk picks up. You get more hoopla. You get all which is good for us. You know what I mean? But it's not good for the Celtics. They want to close this thing out in the most boring fashion possible and get the heck out of there, take their crummy championship, and go on their way. But I'm picking Dallas to win. I think
You know,
Kyrie played defense like he did. I mean, not Kyrie, excuse me. Luka plays defense like he did last time. Stay in front of guys. Don't gamble. Don't try to pick the ball. Just set your feet, move them as best as you can. And if they can take away that one-on-one advantage, they have an opportunity.
yeah, I kind of want some chaos to take place.
Oh yeah, why
I,
not?
I want a little chatter to start. So I'll look, I still have Boston winning this, which is fine. But let's see a game six.
Yeah,
Let's just see a game six. So I hope Dallas can to come out and bring it here. But honestly, man, I just don't think the Celtics are understanding what it takes to close the NBA Finals out. But you brought up a good point. Not one player on that team knows how to close out an NBA Finals game.
yeah.
Not one person
Maybe Drew
does.
Holiday, maybe, but
But he wasn't the vocal point during that championship
no,
with the Bucks.
no.
He wasn't. This is he may take over, but you need a Tatum takeover in order for that to take place.
Yeah,
I just don't see it in him right now because we've seen him brick layups, we've seen him miss bad jump shots, we've seen him take very, very bad shots on a
yeah.
consist when they're being contested. So, let's hope. I'm pulling for a Dallas win tomorrow.
I'm
I
pulling for
just
one
want
too.
that. I just want that because let's get a little bit of chatter. Let's hear. Here we go. We're at a game six, and then we get an all bets off game seven for
Oh,
first team ever
now it's
3-0.
interesting.
I
Yeah,
love it. I
now it's
love
worth watching. Now it's worth watching.
that.
Well, let's get
Uh,
caught up on the chat. I know sorry chat, we haven't been ignoring you. First from Rachel, Happy Father's Day. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you very much. And then Rachel with the weekly My Dad Loves Soccer. Do you guys cover it? Well, no.
there she goes again with that. No,
Yeah,
we don't cover soccer.
we
I
will we
mean, we
will
will if we
we
need
we
to.
will film kicking a soccer ball back and forth between one another, and that will be as much coverage as we'll have for soccer.
I don't know how good that would be, man. I guarantee I'll pull the Charlie Brown and just swing it, just kick and miss the soccer ball, even though when it's
Sure,
sitting right
right.
in front of me, I bet you I miss it
Hey,
real bad.
that's the last thing you want to do is step on top of the ball. Yeah, you're going every which way, but not in the right direction. And we got
Hey, man.
go ahead, man.
No, no. What were you gonna say?
No, I
Who
was
else
just
we
going through the
got?
rest of the chat. So Rachel again with the finals has been a snooze fest, which we agree with. Mama Lay, Happy Father's Day, T. Thank you, thank you. And then JJ, what's up, y'all? What's up, JJ? Says long time no see.
Yeah.
We have
What
been
up,
well.
JJ?
Hope you're doing well too. And then Mama Lay. Oh, happy Father's Day to JJ. There you go.
Yeah, man.
And JJ again
Um.
with I wanted anyone but the Celtics to win. Same here.
Hey,
Same
man.
here.
It could still happen.
Yeah.
There is still the opportunity with how bad these finals have been. It definitely can be. Um, Before we talk about ranking the last 10 NBA finals, can we talk about your team not
Oh
signing a
my God.
coach?
Okay, so yeah, we can
Can we
jump into
talk
it.
about that?
So let's talk about the dumpster fire that is the Los Angeles Lakers front office. And apparently, after weeks and weeks of talking to guys was the guy's name Borrego? There were
Dan
talks about
Hurley.
no, this is before Hurley, JJ Redick, and others that they looked to interview. All of a sudden, out of the blue, it seemed Dan Hurley is all of a sudden interested in taking the Lakers coaching job, or at least made it seem that way. The Lakers then come off of whatever they were doing and completely put all their focus in trying to get this guy. And it makes sense. I mean, he's the top college coach. He's coming off of a national championship, the last two actually. And
Yep.
it definitely was a different look for the Lakers, who traditionally are looking to win right now. But if you hire a coach like Hurley, you ain't winning right now. You're probably winning maybe the next 3 to 5 years. So they really were looking at an opportunity to build for the future. And I do like the idea for the Lakers, who have never taken that approach, ever. We only draft good talent to trade them, ever. And so I didn't mind the pursuit. The problem is they didn't get the job done. So you got Woj. Woj was, I think Woj set this whole thing up because he hates the Lakers so much.
Oh my
And
God.
just so y'all know, Woj does not like the Lakers. He's never liked the Lakers. He reports
My
anything
guy.
against the Lakers. And this is a setup. This totally is a setup. Dan Hurley's his guy. He was looking to get another contract from UConn. Hadn't signed the contract yet. And then in the midnight hour, keep in mind, because the training camp and beginning of practices for the college or for college basketball was already on the horizon. You got to keep that in mind, the time frame here. To where one of their practices was on the Monday, he was to make his decision, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Or at least they were having a meeting. I won't say they were practicing, but it was a team meeting.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, at least it appears to me that with that happening in such a quick amount of time, I don't know how serious he was. I mean, I really don't know how serious he was. He got this far into it, and then all of a sudden he wants to pursue this only to say no and go back to college, making half of what he would have made from the Lakers based on what crap was leaked out by Woj, which we don't know how true any of it is, but whatever. But it just makes us look stupid. It makes the Lakers look stupid. Because now you got to draft a coach by the NBA draft, which is in a week. And so you got to get a coach in quickly, which almost makes it look like JJ Redick is going to be the coach. They interviewed him over this weekend. It's almost a slam dunk in my opinion at this point. Who else are they going to interview and hire when you only got a week left? So it's a bad look, man. It's a bad look.
And mind you, he turned down 6 years, over $70 million to coach the Los Angeles Lakers. That is a throw it right back in your face. I'm good. I'll stay in the college ranks kind of thing here. Look, Dan Hurley's building a great thing at UConn. They have a chance to three-peat. They've got really good players committed to that school as well. So why leave something that's successful? I think what the biggest thing is he understands going to the Lakers, it ain't going to be easy. It just will not be for him. The chances of him winning a title compared to there or going to UConn and staying at a successful part is not going to be a good trade-off. I don't think Dan Hurley would have taken the Lakers to a championship. When you join the Lakers organization, there's only one thing that you have to do. You got to win a championship, right? And since Frank Vogel won that Mickey Mouse championship, they haven't had any real success after that there. Darvin Ham was a terrible coach. He's going back to Milwaukee. and you're left at what? Now you're relying on JJ Redick, because he has good ties with LeBron James on a podcast.
Right.
He's an analyst on the NBA Finals, which at that I love what he does during the broadcast. He gives a real player perspective on that as well. But the dude was just in the league a few years ago with these same guys who are currently on the Lakers. Right. Do you honestly think that this is going to work in the Lakers organization? They have failed this coaching carousel so bad. This is a desperate signing to just get a coach into the building to get ready for training or to get ready for the draft, to get prepared for the season. You don't have any direction for this right now.
Yeah, and thanks JJ for saying that Hurley used this as leverage. Absolutely, I believe him and Woj with their quote close relationship used this as a leverage play to try to squeeze a little more money out of UConn, man. But look, at the end of the day, it comes down to a couple of things. One is what are the Lakers looking to do long term? Because they've been on sort of this short term thing where they've been looking to trade for different players, and the landscape of the NBA is completely changed now. It's about who you can grow. It's about who you're drafting and adding to a budding team, like we're seeing with the Celtics. Same thing, really, we're seeing with Dallas as well. I mean, Dallas drafted Doncic. They brought in, Kyrie Irving into that team, along with some other players that fit around those guys. Same thing we see with Minnesota. They drafted Ann Edwards, and Big Cat, and then you just start sprinkling guys around. The problem with the Lakers is we don't draft any of this high-end talent. We generally are trading for it or picking up in free agency. And I think that in lies the problem. So I think the Lakers need to just change the view a little bit and start thinking beyond LeBron James. We can't just keep bringing in superstar after superstar hoping to win, because that, as time has proven, the three star thing doesn't work. It's not going to work. So you better start investing in the future, and that's what the Lakers need to do. I don't care if they have to tear the whole thing down. Honestly, LeBron comes in, he plays for maybe a year or two, and then you got to start all over again. So the question is, do you hire a coach who's just going to get fired in 2 years with LeBron if it doesn't work out? Because that's only what's going to happen, right? Let's say they go the next 2 years, they don't make it to the finals. LeBron decides to retire a Laker or go to another team. You keeping the same coach? Is this somebody you truly believe in long term, as opposed to just within the LeBron window? And that's where I think the JJ Redick pick, even with all the other stuff about him not having coaching experience, or not maybe players not respecting him because they played with him or against him. I think even more so, it's more about the Lakers brass and them looking at their franchise and saying, well, what are we going to do after LeBron? And if it's Redick, then I don't think he's the answer after LeBron. I think he leaves with LeBron because he's LeBron's guy.
Yeah, it's an ugly situation.
Yeah, we're going to be paying like 3 coaches on the payroll in 3 years, man. It's going to be stupid.
You know what? They might as well just make LeBron James a player coach. Remember when they used to do that back in the days?
Yeah, like Bill Russell.
Yeah, might as well just bring it back. Let him be the player coach.
Yeah, maybe, man. Maybe. He'll get fired too, so maybe not.
Hey, we talked about this before the show. I think it was yesterday or the day before here. Before we go back, the NBA Finals has just been terrible. We've all agreed to that. So you and I were talking when the last great NBA Finals was, and so we took a look back over the last 10 years for the NBA Finals. Let me give you the last 10 NBA Finals here, and I'll let you kind of go from there. We had the Warriors and the Cavs in 2014, 2015. You had basically the Warriors and Cavs for 4 years. Well, we'll just put it like that. You had the Raptors and the Warriors, the Lakers and the Heat, the Bucks and the Suns, the Warriors and the Celtics, and then last year you had the Nuggets and the Heat. Where would you put, if we could throw this current NBA Finals into it, because that'd put us at 10. Where does this rank as far as on your scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah, it's
over the last 10 years.
It's a
like when's been the last good NBA Finals,
man.
dude?
Yeah, to be honest with you, the last 10 years, the best finals we have had has just been that Cavs team that came back in 2016, but they were down 3-1. At one point. Yeah. I mean, you can maybe say, oh well, Toronto beating Golden State that one year, but then we had the injuries, which in my mind, and I'm not trying to take it away from Toronto, but you weren't really playing the true team because Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant,
wow.
Not Kevin Garnett, Kevin Durant, KD, not KG. KD was not, he was injured. So that series is not, it wasn't very memorable. The only thing memorable about that season was the Eastern Conference Finals when Kawhi Leonard hit that three bounce 3-point shot at the Game 7 against Philly and won.
And Joel Embiid was crying.
Yeah, oh yeah, with cheeseburger. Yeah, but then if you look at the rest of them, most of them are six. I'm trying to think of how these games played out. I believe in the Phoenix series, I believe Chris Paul got hurt at one point, if I'm not mistaken, during that series. I know Brian, of course, is a Warriors fan, or Bila's, of course, a Warriors fan, loves the fact that the Warriors won in 2022. That was a series I don't think people expected the Warriors to beat the Celtics, but the Celtics were not ready to close that thing out, and they could not close it out. But other than that, it's just the Warriors winning 4-1, 4-0, and it looks like 4-2 in 2015. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. They definitely haven't been 7-game series. I will say that some of these series still have been fairly competitive. I mean, the 2015 series, I think, was okay. I have to look at each game, honestly.
The first Warriors Cavs matchup was a really good one. It was a competitive 6 games.
The Kyrie wasn't a part of that, though. I don't, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he was. No, he was hurt.
He was hurt.
He was hurt during that first one.
Right.
And then when you had a full Cavs team against a full Warriors team, we saw the biggest comeback in NBA history, down 3-1.
And then you guys got KD.
Yeah, and then we just said, you know what, we're not allowing something like that ever to happen again. So we went out and got KD, 5 games, 4 games. I think, if I had, from a basketball perspective here, if I just had to pick out of those series here, I honestly think from not from a Warrior standpoint, from an NBA standpoint, is honestly the 7 game series against the Cavs, because there was a lot
Yeah,
of drama involved with that,
a
and it's not like
lot.
these games, and it's not like those games after when it got to 3-1 were blowouts. You had the Draymond drama, when he wanted to touch LeBron disgustingly, um, to get him suspended for Game 5.
Yeah,
You can argue the fact that it did have an effect on it, whether or not though. But they went back to Game 6. It was a very close game from the majority, and we got one. We got a really good Game 7 where you get the chase down block, you get the Kyrie three.
yeah,
You know, you get Curry getting locked up by, I think it was Kevin Love at the time, in crunch time here for the Warriors to tie the game. So all of those played in here. So I would say, from an NBA perspective here, knowing that the Cavs came from a 3-1 deficit, took it to Game 7, and eventually won it here, I would say that was the most competitive finals here.
yeah,
I would say
absolutely.
the Warriors. I would say the Warriors and Celtics a couple years ago, just because you had the old timers versus the new timers.
Yeah,
But I just, there was something about that Cavs Warriors second matchup here that was
yeah.
something
Well,
enjoyable for all fans across the NBA.
yeah, that, and you got to consider there was a lot going into that. It wasn't just the fact that they came back, but of course, remember LeBron was returning from Miami as well, because Miami had just lost to the Spurs after beating him the previous year. He leaves, goes back to the Cavaliers, promising to bring a championship to Cleveland. And so yeah, it was kind of all encompassing thing, a full circle. He comes back home in the championship, so it was a big deal. So I'll definitely say that game. Looking at these other ones, none of the other ones stand out to me. Quite honestly, I thought the finals last year was absolute trash with the Nuggets
Well, that was
beating Miami
disgusting. That was boring.
4-1. It was stupid, and it's just not very interesting. So I think we gotta we're hoping that with all the young talent that's on the horizon, that we start to see these guys really kind of pan out and give us some really good, playoff series. Now we did get some good Western Conference playoff
We
series.
did.
We got
Oh,
some good
100%.
good play, good playing, or good games. So hopefully we continue to see that, and the teams that are in the West get as good as Boston. Because the last thing I want to see is Boston. If Boston gets back to back, fine. I can't take that.
I don't think we're going to see another back-to-back champion in some time here. It's going to take a lot here, just because of like you said, this new talent that's rolling in.
Yeah,
It's clear. The
yeah,
Nuggets went down to the Wolves.
you're right.
That was the last team we were probably expecting to beat the Denver Nuggets
Right.
to at that point there. So let's get a little cut in the chat. JJ says a little after 10 years, but the Lakers beating the Celtics was a nice series as well.
Yeah,
We you know
absolutely. In
we
Game
could
Seven.
kind of throw that one in there. That one won 7 games as well.
Yeah.
The history of everything here, and then Drunk. Good to see you, man. Hope you're having a good Sunday as well. Says it's a lot of talk on Twitter about how the whole Warriors team hated KD after winning that second NBA Finals over Steph. What y'all thought? I thought Steph outplayed KD for that back-to-back championship that second year. I thought he outplayed KD in that NBA Finals here to win. He should have won NBA Finals in that year. That was my honest opinion in that.
Yeah, man. I think the whole Warriors team can hate all they want. The bottom line is you gave the NBA Finals to Andre Iguodala. So if you're that pissed about KD winning it, get pissed about Andre Iguodala winning it that one season. Because
Well, I
in
would
my
say
opinion, no, I don't want to hear it. LeBron averaged almost 40 points a game. There's nothing Andre Iguodala did to stop LeBron. We can stop with that conversation. It was just given to him because he made a couple plays here and there. But it made no sense for the very first championship that team won that their star player didn't win the NBA the MVP. So if you want to get that pissed about Kevin Durant, why don't you go back and go talk to Andre Iguodala? And I get it because he's a fan favorite. I understand that. But if we're just saying, well, who deserves it more? There's no way in hell you're going to look at the stat box from that finals. What was it, 2014 or whatever the hell, 2015, and
yeah.
and say that Andre Iguodala deserved to win the NBA Finals MVP. So no, they can. The Warriors and their fans, y'all can keep that. Y'all can keep being mad at KD all you want. In my book, the more egregious decision was Andre Iguodala winning it over Steph Curry. You want Steph Curry to be put on a pedestal? Why the hell is Andre Iguodala winning the first championship he ever won? Why the hell is Andre Iguodala winning that?
Yeah, and that is a good point here. But for me, I would just say, when you look at it from a 4-game standpoint here, I thought Curry basically just about matched KD. I think the difference between those two is that KD hit a big shot in game 3 in the same location that he did a year ago when he first joined the Warriors here. And so I think that might just put him over the edge a little bit. But yeah, I mean, everyone's got their hostility against it there. The fact of the matter is Curry got his MVP, and I think this one was more well deserved this time around than it was with having those superstars here. Because let's be honest, it was just Curry and the band behind him, to say the least. So he earned that finals there. I think he should have won it in 2016, 2017, or the 2017, 2018 series. I think so, but what are you going to do about it? It's in the past.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean if Kevin Durant didn't knock on the Warriors' door saying, "Hey, let's make this happen one more time."
Let's get these comments.
We wouldn't accept them
because this is getting on my nerves. This is getting on my nerves. Well, we'll start with the Swaggy. So Swaggy P started the convo where he mentions Steph crying in the locker room after he has 10 and I mean, do we really believe in Swaggy P? I don't know, man. Swaggy P does some weird stuff, man. I don't know if I could believe this. Now I believe that D'Angelo Russell outed him to his girlfriend Iggy Azalea. I do believe that. Yeah. I believe that. That I believe. But Iguodala held Bron to 40 a game. He didn't deserve it, man. No, no. Can you name the other person? And then we got. Thanks for joining this, Jack. Andre Iggy, the goat, the goat of what? I want Iggy. Look, I'm a Lakers fan, and I don't know where all this. We should give MVPs to these guys who, happen to be there and help a little bit on the team. But there was a gentleman by the name of Derek Fisher that played throughout the 2009 finals against Orlando Magic, hit 2 threes in the same game to both tie and win the game. I mean, did Robert Horry receive a hand-me-down MVP award for hidden shot? No. None of that matters. The stars on the teams are the guys who win the MVPs. It's been like that for a long time, and I have no idea. I have yet to hear a good argument for why Andre Iguodala should have won that award over Steph Curry. I haven't heard one. I haven't heard a good one yet.
If we were handing out awards like that, can you imagine Steve Kerr taking away an NBA Finals MVP from Michael Jordan?
or even better, Scottie Pippen.
Ooh, the drama that.
So is Iggy better than Scott? Is Iggy better than Scottie Pippen? No. So it's like this is a Care Bear award. It was the feel good, give me a hug moment for the NBA, I guess. But it was stupid, is what I'm saying, because there isn't another circumstance that I can think of where you're not giving that award to the best player the best player on the team, which is going to include statistics. Sorry. It's going to include stats.
Just wait till Drew Holiday wins it this year.
Right? Now I'm going to have egg on my face.
It's going to be a 10-year anniversary from when Iguodala won the MVP to when Drew Holiday wins the MVP. We're going to be like, oh, what? When's his statue getting built outside for what he's done for this organization?
I don't know, man. That always, and I'm not a Warriors fan. That always just drove me crazy, man. Is how in the world? How? Man.
What's funny? As Warriors fans, we didn't care because
it's your team. You won your first championship.
Honestly,
who cares?
We're sitting there. We're like, now when you think about it, you're like, man, we really just gave an MVP to a bench player.
Yeah.
We gave the most prized possession outside of the finals trophy, the second most prized possession to a guy who averaged 9 points a game.
You gave him the highest
9 points.
We gave him the highest participation trophy that anyone has ever received in the history of sports.
That's like me receiving the Class Dean to speak at, or the valedictorian to speak at
Yeah,
my graduation, when all I, and the biggest accomplishment I've ever had was spelling my name right on the
yeah.
SATs. Like
It's like, I'm a C student, but I'm here to tell everybody how great the school is. No,
yeah,
it's no, it doesn't.
that was a good one.
And I'm not mad. I guess I can't be mad at it, but at the end of the day, I couldn't understand it when it happened, and I could because if you remember during that finals, there was a serious argument about them giving the MVP to LeBron James, even though they
Oh,
lost.
they almost did.
Okay,
They
I don't know if
almost
anybody
did.
remembers that. That's how well he was playing. So you mean the guy guarding that guy was the one who got it? How?
That was the closest thing that they were going to be able to do to justify
Oh my God.
why LeBron could have won the MVP. So one of
Oh
those two were going to
man.
get it from what the NBA made it sound like. Can you imagine winning your first title in 40 years and watching the NBA Finals MVP go to the losing locker room?
Yeah,
Like,
they
this
weren't
would
gonna
have been
do
an
that. They
absolute
weren't gonna do it. They
disaster.
weren't gonna do that. I think it's happened once before in the league, though. I have to look it up. I thought it was Jerry West, maybe. But I want to look it up and see who it was. I thought it happened once, but I have to look that up. But yeah, man, I'll never understand it. Never heard a good argument for it. I think it's dumb.
Well, we got a few minutes here before the show wraps up here, so let's we could touch on one thing real quick. We all know, I think what happened over the air a couple days is going to solidify this NBA deal. Charles Barkley announcing next year will be his last ever for TV. Doesn't matter if it's going to be with TNT or anybody else. He is not getting on the airways anymore
Oh,
here.
his big ass will have a podcast. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, which is fine. I think the podcast would be great. But man, commentating in the NBA will not be the same without this man.
It won't
Um,
be.
and I think this is the nail in the coffin to really say
Yeah.
that the NBA on TNT is not coming back after
It's
next
over,
year. I
man.
think
Hey,
this is it after that.
but check this out. You see what Shannon Sharp's doing, right? Could you imagine
I
we can
haven't
get
seen-
Shannon
uh-oh.
Sharp with his podcast? If we can get Charles Barkley to do that, just a little bit of that, I think that might be a good.
Here's the only thing I want next year. For those who don't watch NBA on TNT, Charles Barkley has criticized San Antonio women for so
Oh
long.
yeah, well, we
They
gotta
had
keep
it.
that
They
going.
had it. They had to tell him to stop. I think this year you just let that man cook about it. That's
Everything.
all let him
It's
do.
your podcast. Just go
Let him have
crazy,
it.
Charles.
Just
Tell
let
us
him have
all the
it.
bad stories about Karl Malone and all the weird crap. I want to hear it all, man. I'm trying to get Cat Williams level entertainment.
Just let him air it out, man. Can you imagine going out like that's what we had all imagined if we ever left a job, that we would just quit and just let it go here.
Yeah.
I think they should just let Charles Barkley just say whatever the hell he wants. For God's sakes, make it a late night show so he can cuss as well. Let the man go on an epic my final year rant here. What are they gonna do? Cancel him? I think they made it pretty apparent they're gonna cancel NBA on TNT. So why not end it in a bang?
Hey.
Do you think, Charles Barkley? I need to hear more about
Hey,
these
don't-
San Antonio.
Just
women.
don't disappear on us though. Come back in some
Yeah,
form.
yes, yeah. Please.
And actually, let's cut real quick, folks. We just also want to recognize the fact that the logo did pass away this past week.
Yes.
For those who don't know, Jerry West is the NBA logo. That's his image. Jerry West is a long-time Laker, not only as a player but as a general manager and executive. Dude is he's a winner. Was a winner back when. Couldn't get over those early Celtics team. Did it one time. But then went on to win multiple championships as a general manager over that Showtime Lakers teams, which he helped put together all the way into the early 90s, where he brought the Lakers back with drafting Kobe Bryant and then trading for Shaquille O'Neal. So West has a huge. Well, actually, did he get that far? I know he drafted Kobe. I'm trying to remember if he was the one that made the trade for.
He was
signed Shaq. I'm pretty sure he signed Shaq.
He had a hand in that as well.
So long-time Laker GM, was helpful in putting together multiple championships over 3 different decades. So he's a winner. So R.I.P. Jerry West, a Laker great.
Yeah, Jerry West also had a hand in building the Warriors dynasty as well. He's the reason why they traded Monte Ellis to go get Andrew Bogut. He's the reason why they drafted Klay Thompson. He's the reason why Kevin Durant was one of the main reasons why he came to Golden State. So everywhere he's been, he is. That's how much of a eye he has for the league here. When Jerry West was a part of your organization, you knew he was there to help build a winning culture because he had been a part of it for so long.
Yep.
So I hope the NBA does something amazing to honor the logo. You can't change. It's hard to see the NBA change the logo from Jerry West, and I just don't think it's ever going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think they
I just think it will always stay. The NBA is the only organization to use an actual player as their identity, to say the least. And they couldn't have picked a better player than Jerry West. So, condolences to the West family and to everybody and to the whole NBA family as well.
Yeah.
You lost two big pieces with
Bill Walton too.
with Bill Walton and Jerry West. So to that there. But we got 2 minutes. I want all my Niner fans to be terrified of the contracts that just got handed out this week. Justin Jefferson signed a lucrative, and that's well deserved. Trevor Lawrence this past week just signed an extension for $270 million.
Hey. Woo.
You need to sit there and ask yourself, is Brock Purdy worth $300 million?
He's going to get paid, man.
Let me ask you this, T. Do you think Brock Purdy is a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence?
It's not even a question. We don't even have to talk about it. Of course he is. I mean, I'll give Trevor Lawrence, he's got more of a college pedigree coming into the league. But the Jaguars have been a mediocre team at best since he's been there. The bottom line is the 49ers have been competing the past few couple years. They've made it all the way to the Super Bowl twice
finals.
They made it to the NFC Championship game previously. Then they made it to the finals. But either way, we're talking about teams that have been playing at a high level for quite some time. He's the quarterback. He's the engine that's running it, and he's young. He's young. He's just as young as Trevor Lawrence is, if not younger. So you got a young quarterback that still has some upside. You're competing in the playoffs year in and year out. You darn right. This guy's got to get paid. He's going to be $300 million plus for sure. There's no way they can try to nickel and dime him whenever he's looking at quarterbacks whose not only winning percentage is lower, but stats are lower, and they're not going and they're not succeeding in the playoffs. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, he's going to go from being the Mr. Irrelevant to the top paid quarterback in the entire league. The 49ers don't have a choice. They cannot fumble this because, honestly, there isn't another option. I mean,
you can't ask them to take a hometown discount. I'm sorry, man.
No,
you're not.
Those days are over. Those days, the Kaepernick contract is over. Like, you're gonna have to pay this guy. Like, it's not as you're gonna have to pay him, and there's no getting around it. You already paid your running back. You're gonna have to pay your quarterback. There's no discount for it. Don't pretend like you can just plug and play anybody and they're gonna play well. You already tried that. It didn't work. Okay, so just go ahead and pay the man.
Yeah. And Ayuk is not taking a hometown discount either. So that's a bad situation to be in, to say the least. But I think that's it, man. I think good show overall. I think it's time to eat, man. It's time for you to get to your Father's Day celebration.
Yeah, we're gonna eat. The Game of Thrones starts today for folks who watch Game of Thrones. We're gonna sit on it, or it's not called. What is it called? The dragon.
The dragons flying around and.
So yeah, there you go. We're gonna watch that. So. I'll be watching that. By the way, shout out to B recommendation. I did watch -1 finally because it came on Netflix.
What'd you think?
Great movie,
What'd you
man.
think?
Great movie. The movie wasn't even about Godzilla, really.
Right?
But when he showed up, he showed up. And I love how there was a storyline, and it wasn't the American garbage where they were treating him like King Kong, where there was like, some random person is like, I can control and commune with Godzilla. This Godzilla wanted nothing to do with human beings.
No, he literally wanted to eat them.
He literally. He didn't even want to be bothered until they started showing up on the ocean with their boats, trying to shoot him all the time. And he just got pissed, walked on land, and said, "Here, take that." And that blast was phenomenal. That was one of the. It wasn't a prolonged thing like the other movies where he's shooting for 50 minutes, hosing down, a whole city. It was one boo kablooey. Now
it was the best one. I'm glad you got a chance to watch it. I will take your guide tonight. I do have a plan to watch Fallout. So,
oh yeah, excellent show.
I will be watching. I just got caught up with the boys. The boys opened up a new season 4.
I have a hard time with that show. I have a tough relationship with that show.
All I'm gonna say is I don't know how these guys get into a room and go, let's put this
in the show.
Dude,
there's some. Let's put it like this. If you watch The Boys, the first 5 minutes of the show, you don't know what the hell is going to happen. Like, literally, the first 5 minutes, you're like, oh, what am I going to see? What's going to happen? Is it going to be gross? Because there's some stuff in there they dropped in there that has nothing to do with the plot line of the show, but it's just there to be just over the top, just for the reason of being over the top. And that's where... sometimes with that show, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to forward wind this a little bit.
Each season, there's been something going, what in the world are they doing? What? Season 4, episode 2 may have taken the complete cake of everything. That's all we're going to say. If you got time, watch season 4, episode 2, watch the whole thing.
Better not bring your kids, as Dave Chappelle used to say. This is not a show for children or anybody that is not over 21. I don't even know if I want an 18-year-old watching.
Oh, that was great. All right, man. Well, hey, happy Father's Day to you, man. Hope you have a good one. Enjoy the rest of the night with the family. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in and thanks for spending your Father's Day with us for a little bit. Yeah. I don't know about you, man, but I'm ready to go destroy some Chinese food like Godzilla destroyed.
I'm gonna go get me some tacos, man. I'm out.
All right, man. Have a good one, y'all.
All right. Late.
Peace.